So this is Coffee and Donuts. I'm Criztoz and this is
Scottieboy.
We are in Edinburgh at the moment. I'm hanging out with Scotty for a day or two. And this is Coffee and Donut, the guest show, Ep.3. As we're heading up to 100 episodes of Coffee and Donuts, I thought it would be a good idea to speak to the host. So I've spoken to Marky and spoken to Rob, and then we thought we'd speak to some people who've been guests on the show or have watched the show quite a lot. So Scotty is one of those.
I am.
So let's start with the 45 Kings then. So when did you first become aware of the 45 Kings and how did you get involved with the group?
It was really through DJ Lob, Rob Steer, who I've been DJ friends with for years. He's basically done a lot of mixes with me over the years, and we've been on Mixcloud since well over 10 years, I presume. I've lost track, to be honest with you, but yeah, a long time. And he said he was doing a new thing, and I was just saying to you this morning, actually, to your good lady, that I've been thought that I was not the only one, but I didn't think there were so many people like me who loved 45s. And when I went onto the site, I realised how wrong I was. And it basically opened up another renewed doorway, and hence the reason why me and you are good friends. And Criztoz comes up with his family, actually staying in my house. So it's been a really good thing for not so much for mental health, but really for good friendships. Talking about vinyl, knowing that you're not boring the other person, which is a good point.
Well, yeah, because I mean, obviously, if the other person's not into records or into 45s, they will get bored very quickly.
Very quickly. Yeah.
And I'm sure we were sat upstairs just now with some of your friends who were staying over, and you and me were talking about the perhaps weird situation where you've got a 7-inch vinyl and it's only single pressed on one side. And it's like, why would you do that? And I think they're sitting there going, what are you talking about? Yeah. You know,
although in saying that, they are DJs as well. So,
okay.
And you didn't know that, so but they have vinyl as well, but it's not so as geeky as we are. It's not, to be fair.
Yeah. It's not as geeky as us. Yeah. But obviously, Coffee and Donuts, we're coming up to 100 shows, and you are quite recently onto streaming, having had
a long story there.
Some advice with me, and we sort of worked it together and got there. But you were watching Coffee and Donuts quite a lot. Before that. So, as a viewer, first of all, what do you like, or what did you like about the show? What do you like about the show, and what did you get from it?
I used to, every Saturday morning it was between you and Sucker Timmy, was it? He used to do Saturday mornings as well. Yeah. And just Nice Guy Fryer as well. He did it as well. So I just love it. My love of music just got into it, and then suddenly I realised you were all doing it, and I couldn't do it at the time because I was renting a property and waiting on my new house at this place, which took forever, as you all know. And you're probably all bored with that as well. But anyway, the Wi-Fi was really bad, so there was no point in me even trying, and didn't have the proper equipment. So. But anyway, that aside, I just enjoyed the kind of the camaraderie, so to speak, if that's such a word. I enjoyed the people just chatting about music, having a good fun, and just telling about, I bought this and I bought that, and I enjoyed you because you would tell us about the music. You would say, this is from here and that's from there, or this is on, you should buy it, and I often would go and, like everybody, it was like, whoa, I'm getting it first, and be a real geek about stuff, But that aside, I just enjoyed the music and the varied music, because anybody that knows me is I'm completely like, 1 minute I'm 80s pop, and then the next minute I'm like, not death metal, but it's not quite as heavy as that, but definitely heavy electronics and. Lots of different stuff, really. As you know, with my mixes, I'm what they call eclectic, which I don't really like that kind of term.
I think like an eclectic selector.
Yeah, I would like that better. Yeah,
so I think that's what one of the reasons we get architects. So I like eclectic music. But I think it's something else that's come with 45s, isn't it? Because we've talked about this on other shows, but. If you're a house DJ or a drum and bass DJ or a digital DJ or whatever, tend to generally stick to that genre or particular BPMs or whatever. Whereas, you know, with the 45s and what I quickly discovered, you know, I've always liked eclectic music, but it was nice seeing other people also doing that. So in an hour's set or an hour show, you're going to have some funk, some hip hop, some reggae, some Latin, some whatever, you know. Or then when we've got guests on, they will just do, say, a hip hop set, or they will just do a funk set, or, you know, reggae set, or whatever it is, you know.
I just can't really be like that with music. I've got to feel kind of that most things go with everything.
Yeah.
And I've got to say that I don't get bored by anybody's mixes. It's just not for me. I wouldn't like just to do. I'm not a great hip hop person anyway, as you know, but I like beats and I like hip hop vocals on something else. You know, I like electronic hip hop, say, if that's such a thing. And I just try to mix it up, so to speak. And I just find that's for me, it's the best way of doing it, because I don't get bored. And it's not boredom; it's just a necessary evil, so to speak. You know, that I just got to move on from. I hate the term genres. But I hate being pigeonholed. It stifles me almost. You know,
it's a bit of a double-edged sword, isn't it? Because it's nice to not be pigeonholed and not be a particular DJ, but then sometimes it's quite difficult if someone says to you, "Well, what do you DJ?" You know, I normally say, "Well, you know, reggae, hip hop, Latin, funk," you know, and obviously things are a lot wider than that. But it does sometimes make it difficult for people to understand what you as a DJ do, because it's more about the vibes and the feel and the music that we play, I think, rather than
with me it's less about the mixing, and it's less about it's less about anything apart from the music. With me, I'm a great person for believing in I'm playing the best music that I can play in that moment in time. So if that means that I play 2 reggae songs that go onto a hip hop reggae song, and I do try to flow. I do try to flow. I don't just whap in an electronic thing with an ABBA track. You know, not that I'll ever play ABBA, but you know, you never know. The older I become, the less likely is that's going to ever happen. You know, but I just try my best just to kind of go with the flow, I think, is the best way of putting it. You know,
and I think that's the way it works, and it's great. I found, for me, you know, being able to sort of come on a Saturday and then people in the chat, and more often than not you would be the first person in the chat. You'd be like, I'm here, I'm the first one, and I'd be like, great, okay, well, Scotty's here, it doesn't matter if no one else turns up, at least I've got one person watching me, you know, and that was before we even sort of met in person, and you know, and all the rest of it. But
that's because I've come as a fanboy.
Exactly.
Not.
It's the groupies that we've got for the group. But it's that I think has helped the show and Twitch and all the rest of it. Because if it wasn't for people like you and other people who've watched from the beginning and, you know, sort of flowed through, we wouldn't do it.
Well, of course.
You know, we wouldn't do it if it was just us, me DJing to Rob and just me DJing to Mark. You know, at some point after a few weeks, we'd have been like, you know what, this isn't working. It's not what it is. Which why it sort of still blows my mind that we're hitting 100 shows. You know, you know, other than for Christmas and New Year, we've done pretty much every Saturday, and then we've had the 45 kids, which are sort of flown off. I did a couple of the late night ones. And then off the back of that, we've ended up with like other shows like the Reggae Fire and Bright as the Sun and all the jazz shows, and then the country ones. You know, it's been amazing, really. Is there any particular DJs that you like watching as guests? Before we get on to you, obviously coming on and playing yourself, but you know.
Well, obviously I like you because the selection's always good. You do kind of play lots of really eclectic, if that's another word that you want to use. I'm not sure that really. Oh, what's happening here? Oh my goodness, it's down there. That's better. Yeah, there we go. And I've got a big light bulb right on my head here. like switch that off. It's. I like what you do, obviously, and basically you kind of you do the eclectic thing like me as well, or the flow, I think is the best way to put it.
We'll call it the flow.
We'll call it the flow. I really like Rob actually as well because he's really energetic, and I'm less energetic with the camera because I'm not really overly great or keen on speaking that much, whereas he's right into it, and you can tell that he's right into playing 7 inches, and I love watching people that are really, really into it.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm into it when I play a live thing more. The Twitch thing for me is fine. I enjoy it, but it's not overly my thing, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
I enjoy it, and I do it because it's a different kettle of fish.
Yeah,
I've been DJing for over 40 years, as you know, and it's when I'm DJing in my room, I just feel I'm here on my own. And you know what I mean by that? Even though I've maybe got like a giddy 8 people watching me on my thing, or I've got maybe one time we had 58 people watching on Coffee and Donuts, you know. So, but I tend not to look at that because it's not really important to me. I just like the chat sometimes, but it's difficult to do this here, and then go do the chat as well. You know, it's very difficult, and you talk more than I ever will, but I just like people who are really into what they're doing, which is good, and I really like Sucker Timmy as well. He's quite good, and I like Tommy T. I really like Tommy T. He always plays some music that I just go, what the dickens is that? You know, I really like that, and there's quite a few people that it's been good, but again, we're all kind of back more into normal life, if you want to call it as normal as possible. And I'm not sure we've got the time that we had.
No, I mean, we were talking about this a bit earlier because obviously, we'll come back to that in a minute. I agree with you on Rob. Rob's sets are brilliant. One of the reasons we started the show was we'd come off the back of the 24-hour show. We did that 24-hour live stream, and then I was just like, right, I quite fancy just jumping on a Saturday in lockdown. There wasn't much to do. I'm going to jump on for an hour and see what happens. And he was like, oh, okay, well, I'll jump on. And because I'm in the UK, he's in Australia, there's anywhere between 9 hours currently or 11 hours maximum. And it just thought so that. So it'd be a morning for me, and then he'd be like late night, and then sometimes he's having a few beers, which is great.
Well,
and when he's at his country house, it's quite good fun. So and I particularly enjoy those shows because again, Rob's struggled a little bit with the whole tech, a bit like what you were saying, you know, getting used to Twitch and all the rest of it. He's improved and he loves it now, I think, a lot more. And the tech really got him down for a period of time when he was sort of, right, that's it, I'm not doing Coffee and Donuts anymore, I'm not doing any streaming. We sort of talked him back into it, and then thankfully he's back on now. But again, he does really let go when he's had a couple of beers and doing the dad dancing and all the rest of it. It's a lot of fun. But
when I do, I just get to try to get down with the programme. That's what I do. Says the old man.
But so that's been fun. And then the chat, like you say, I think that's been really important. It's been really good to sort of meet the people through that.
Well, we've met quite a number of them now. And dated with a number of them in Edinburgh that time, so that's been great, you know. And it's just been a big journey.
It's been because so then from a viewer, you then got into this house, which is amazing. And then you're like, right, I need some help setting up. So like with some other people, you know, I said, right, okay, we'll get this audio card, get that camera, get this angle, this is OBS, blah blah blah. And eventually we got you up and running. A few technical issues to start with, but we got it. And then you got to be a guest on Coffee and Donuts as well. So how was that? How did you find?
Well, it was a dream come true. No, it was. It's just been an interesting journey for me. I've got to say, I take it all in my stride because DJing to me is just me now. I've done it for so long that I've honestly done it for as long as I can ever remember. And you know the story of how I started DJing. So it was just basically the DJ never showed up in my mum and dad's hotel, and my mum said get it done, and I was 16 years old. And I just did it, and I've just done it ever since. And then I had children, and I've kind of done it through their lives. And my older, well, she's not a child now, she's 30, but my older girl, she tells me about music now, you know what I mean? And it's incredible, the history that she goes, you taught me that, Dad, you told me that, Dad. Oh, and I'll tell you something now, you know. And the very thing is, this Bowie picture here has actually got her name on the back. Not quite, but she's always on about like Bowie, and which I love as well, obviously. And she's always in my music room going, "That's mine, Dad. That's mine, Dad." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay, but I'm still alive now, you know." No, it's
one day.
It's been with music, as you know, it's a big journey, and I think you should treat it as a journey because. I mean, you can see what I've got here. This is just one of my rooms. I've got next door that's got equal amounts, if not more, vinyl next door. And it's always what I've done. And I've still got actually my first singles with my name around the label from 1973, 72. And I've got basically my first album up there. Oh no, it's through the room actually. It's Slade, I bought in 1974. You know, and when you pull it out, it's pristine. I played it about 3 weeks ago, and I put it on, and it was like getting a new record. And my dad always taught me. I've always been with vinyl. My dad always taught me that it's a bit like when you buy a new pair of trousers. You never pour a pint of beer over it. That's what you do with a record, son. Do you know what I mean by that? It's like I've always been taught with vinyl, and I've been surrounded by vinyl. And vinyl's my life. DJing's my life. My music posters. This is a history of me in here, you know, like literally is like, you know, from my Clash posters to Bowie to Joy Division posters are up here. So it is like that's been ripped off the records in 1980, the record shop wall. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So, and it doesn't. I don't care how much they're worth. I don't care if anybody wants them. They're mine. You know what I mean? So this is what I'm trying to get at. Is that it's a visual history that you come in and you go, oh, like, what's going on in here? Because I don't, because it's mine. But other people could maybe come in, and my old music room was like 4 times the size of this, and it was like a living room, and all my vinyl was out one wall, and all my posters were all framed in the other wall, and it was amazing. But I kind of like this because it's kind of in 2 bits, and I'm not sorted out yet, but I will be, and it's a great space. So
it's amazing seeing the prices on all these. So for example, it doesn't say what year that was, but that was
1980.
1980. So Joy Division and Guest at the Astoria in Abbey Mount in Edinburgh in 1980. Tickets £2.50.
Yeah, and the vibrators at Tiffany's with the Rosillos supporting was actually you got only £1, and it's a supper license, so you got your supper free as well. So. You got to see two punk bands, and I never went to that, but these are famous. That's a famous Edinburgh poster. When I was in the record shops, that poster was everywhere. It used to actually be everywhere. Not that poster, but his drawings. It's a guy called Don Drummond that used to do them, and there's actually a book of them now because his artwork's brilliant. You know, it's quite unusual. So anyway, that aside, I'm a big toy collector as well. So
I've
got and this isn't even remotely it. My mum's got all my space age toys and blah de blah. You know, so
it's just an addiction, though, isn't it? And
it's
record collecting is one addiction, and then we all seem to. It's interesting how as you meet all the other 45 DJs, everyone else is into. Some stuff, you know, like people like Mark Hyper into their toys. I've got some vinyl toys. You've got toys. You know, other people are into their art. Other people into posters. Other people into, you know, whatever cassettes.
I'm into them all.
You are into them all. Yeah. You are into them all.
Apart from cassettes, I'll draw the line at cassettes. I gave all my cassettes away. Yeah,
but it's that's another thing I've enjoyed seeing and meeting people, and also people creating stuff. Like for example, Paul Salt, who came up to Edinburgh, you know, created the boxes. I've got a record box which is like a Reggae Fire one, which was inspired by the Reggae Fire 45 King show, and then he made me and sent me like a Della Soul clock, which is amazing. He made a box for Rob, and you know, other artwork and stuff, which was part of the raffle that we did, or Rob did for the third. Which was the third anniversary, and this is a brilliant T-shirt, again designed by someone in the group, Leroy, who also designed the Coffee and Donuts flyer, which we've been using.
A lot. He did my daddy stuff for me, and that's what started it. Actually, I got into him about it, and he's developed with lots of other people. You know?
And then you know he designed the 45 Kings slip mat design, and then we had Aldo Oliveira did the 45 Kings graffiti version. So it's really great, the group that we've built around a simple idea of just loving 45s. And then obviously Coffee and Donuts is sort of the flagship show, and you know we sort of followed from there. Right, and then we did. I came up in April, and we did a couple of nights here. Unfortunately, everyone else was sort of ill or predisposed, so they couldn't join us. But then we did a whole weekend.
Yeah.
We Love Edinburgh. We Love Sevens in Edinburgh. So tell us about that. The venue is somewhere that you've been DJing for a while.
Well, yeah.
Tell us how that came about.
I know the manager quite well because he was manager in another place that I've been DJing in the other place for 17, 18 years. I opened it up and it's actually my mate owns it, so I've been kind of just there for all that time. And it's actually a hip hop bar, but I don't play hip hop, and I think they really like me because I play different stuff for them, and it's kind of a breath of fresh air, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, that aside, Mikey just was chatting to him one day, and I said, well, we could maybe do a 45 thing, and he said, yeah, well, what do you want to do? And I said, well, I'll get Criztoz up first, and then we can do a night. And we realised our pitfalls here and there. You know, it was okay on the Friday, and I didn't do it right on the Saturday. I brought wrong stuff, and it was fine. We realised that you were playing big Saturday tunes, and I was playing my usual Friday tunes. And anyway, that aside, it didn't work. And he came to me and said, just to say to you, and it's no bother. We took our money anyway, and I said, well, what we'll do is we'll do the night properly, and we'll get it, and I'll say to everybody, chilled out Friday, big tune Saturday. And that was all we said to everybody, and everybody did do that actually. And then by Friday night, maybe what, I don't know, 11, 12.
I think it was about 10ish. I think so. So we had a few DJs on the Friday. Ouija came over from Glasgow, as did Andrew Devine, and Keith Fowler came down from Aberdeen, and then we had the DJs who stayed for the whole weekend was Mr. Soul, Double P, and also Funky Flavours.
Right,
But I think it was about 10ish when Keith Fowler jumped on the Friday. He's an amazing DJ, and he hasn't unfortunately yet been able to get onto Coffee and Donuts because his streaming setup's okay for Facebook, but it doesn't quite work for OBS. But to see him sort of do his thing live, having heard some mixes, I was like, wow, he knew exactly the right tunes to play at exactly the right time. So about 10 o'clock on Friday, sort of switched it up, and then said, right, okay, let's go.
And then we just followed suit.
And then the Saturday was brilliant because everyone had like a slightly longer set, and again,
and then we did it from back at 4:30 on Saturday, and literally there was people in, not dancing, but they were like at 5 o'clock. They were all up for a big kind of. So it just went from being a good night to one of the best nights the bar had in a lot of years. So I think they were very happy with. Well, I know they were very happy with us, which is great, because we maybe get to do that again soon. Or next year.
I think a couple of things came out that we then did sort of Coffee and Donuts from this room in the afternoon, a special, and it was Keith and Lee and Paul and us too, and we did sort of 3 tracks each for 3 hours, and sort of it was good fun. But also it was we've touched on mental health. It was the fact that we were all away from whatever's going on in your own life. We were away for a weekend. We were just chatting music, just chatting records, but then also chatting about other things, what was going on in our lives. To not strangers exactly, because we're all sort of friends through Twitch and through chatting and stuff. But it's not like your nearest and closest mate who you might not necessarily talk to about whatever's going on in your life. And it was quite liberating, I thought.
I think it was great.
It was great,
And a couple of the guys said to me, in fact, one guy was on he's remaining nameless. Was on WhatsApp to me yesterday saying, it's good I've got a new mate though. And I thought that was great because it's the same for me, and whilst he's miles away from us and I'm miles away from him, it's just great that we have that. And with yourself it's been good. You're actually up with your family just now, as I say, and you've been up like 3 times now, isn't it? 3 times, and I'm lucky enough to be able to host you in the house, so it's great, and we would never have done any of this at all if it wasn't for 45 Kings, basically. So and we're in contact every second day roughly, saying things and this, that and the next thing, and what do you think of this, and so it's been liberating as well for me because I've got this something else to look forward to. Not that I'm needing anything else to look forward to, I just got my own thing to look forward to.
It's definitely that sort of looking forward to something, and I think that's what can keep you going.
Yeah.
Because if you've got, again, I've talked about before, if you've got a stream, or if you've got a gig, or if you've got, okay, well, I need to talk to Scotty tomorrow, or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just that it just keeps you going.
Yeah.
And also, we're all men of a slightly advanced years.
Be careful what you say. Be careful what you say.
Slightly advanced years. And I think that as you get older, it does become a bit harder to make friends, and good friends. You meet a lot of people, and obviously, if you've got kids, you meet a lot of other parents, and you've got your kids in common. But it's really good having something that we're all passionate about, that we all have in common, and also off the back of that, we are then becoming friends and talking about other things. And I think that's been the most important thing, I think, for all of us. So we've now got however many new friends that you can just, if you want to pick up the phone or drop a message and say, blah, 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 I've been doing this, or I've been doing that. Do you want to go for a beer, or do you want to meet up, or do you want to come and DJ here and DJ there? And it's nice seeing all these now in real life, effectively a coffee and donuts in real life happening in a lot of other places. So yeah, it's been brilliant, and hopefully we'll get you back on the show soon.
Yeah, I hope so.
And we'll keep building, and we'll see what happens for the next, I don't know, 150 shows, 200 shows.
Well, who knows?
Who knows?
I'll still be here.
We will keep it going as long as you're watching, and as long as people are interested in it. We will keep it going.
I'll come and do the cleaning one day.
But Scotty, it's been great. Thank you so much. It's been fantastic chatting with you and having you on the show, and obviously staying in your lovely house and everything else. And thanks everyone for tuning in.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
I think Joe's been hot take.